comments made by the initial speaker, so that allows some debate to happen. Unfortunately, I can't allow rebuttals on every question because that was basically the time would be expanded into 3 or 4 hours, which we don't have. The next question I have, and I'll start with Mr. Lee on this one, on schools. And we've all spoken about children being the future and the need for them to be safe. Sure. Is this better? Yes. Thank you. So we've all spoken about children and the need for securing their future and safety for them. The construction and expansion of schools is a provincial responsibility, but this investment has not kept pace with the hyper-development along the young corridor. As a result, parents are not always able to send their children to nearby schools. As City Councillor, what can you do to ensure parents are able to send their kids to nearby schools?
Thank you for the great question. It is in my heart. Like I said to you, safety of the kids is our next generation. We need to look after them. And it was shocking to hear at the doors that some parents cannot send their kids to nearby school. It doesn't make sense to me. I went to school, walking distance. I was lucky enough. I walked to school and came back for lunch, and I had lunch, and then went back to school. Now, I guess that's not the norm. It just hurts. That's the situation right now. There's no common sense. I believe that we need to work with the other governments, especially province, where they're in charge of education and funding the schools, making sure that funds they're going to be spending on yearly on assets, on building school, comes to Willowdale. Minister Lecce has said they're going to spend $1.4 billion in building new schools. I want some of them here. Having a good relationship with the MPP of Stan Cho helps to get some funding for schools in Willowdale. I know Minister Lecce also tested building schools in mixed-use condominiums in downtown, creating over 400 spots. Listen, those are the ideas outside the box that we need to implement within Willowdale, so kids like them can go to school to walking distance. Are they your kids? Great kids.
Thanks for sticking up with them, Daniel. I appreciate it.
Anyways, I am here for the common sense policies where if things doesn't make sense, it should not. And I am here for those who cannot walk to school, and I am all for building new schools in Willowdale. Thank you.
Thank you. Unfortunately, it is not really within the city's power to do a whole lot directly to deal with school issues. It's why on election day, in addition to voting for a mayoral candidate and a councillor, you're going to vote for a school board trustee that would be tasked with dealing with some of those very specific issues. That having been said, I have worked closely with Alexander Brown, our school board trustee, who has been a tremendous advocate, fighting for more school construction resources coming into this area. Several years ago, we worked with our MPP to set up a town hall meeting and pack the gym at Earl Hague with parents, calling for educational development charges to be made available to the Toronto District School Board. That would mean taking a small amount from each new development and putting it into a fund so that new schools could be constructed in this area. The province has resisted allowing the Toronto District School Board to do that, even in the growth centres like North York Centre, where we have exceeded our growth targets. So that advocacy is absolutely an important part of the issue. It's something that we need to continue to do as city councillors, even though we're not necessarily tasked with that particular file. But I also want to take a moment to touch on all of the services that the city is tasked with dealing with. And as a parent of young kids, I can tell you how many childcare centres have crazy wait lists in this neighborhood, some of them up to 2 years long. The going joke is you need to tell your childcare centre that you're having a baby before you tell your family. if you want to be on that wait list in time to get them into a child care center. If you're trying to get your kid into city swimming lessons, you need to be online at 7 o'clock on registration day. Those spots will be filled at 7:02. It's basically a lottery system, and we simply don't have enough spaces because there has never been a proper plan connecting the growth in our community to the resources that we need, to the services that we need to keep them strong. We need to do a better job of working with developers that are coming into the area, putting up buildings, to work with them as partners to get some of those resources. At Yonge and Cummer, through our work with our previous councillor, we were able to greatly expand a community centre coming into that space. It's going to be a new 45,000 square foot, Edith Vale-sized community centre right on the doorstep of this neighbourhood. It's going to have a huge impact in creating more recreation services for the community. There is a new childcare centre. There is a new childcare centre going into that building as well for the same reason. It is where having the experience and understanding that we can sit down and work with developers, make that case, they make them understand that they have a child care center in their building, they can use that as a marketing piece or a community center as a marketing piece. These are the strategies that we need to bring to bear as a community to make sure that our kids have the resources and services that they need and that all of our families are supported.
Thank you.
So, like my friends to my left and my right, we all acknowledge this is a provincial matter, and advocacy is very important. And it's very hard to advocate when you're tired as a parent. It's very hard to raise a child, raise a family. But that's why we need a strong, connected community, because if we have that communication and social infrastructure, it's easier for us to come together and make a loud noise when a loud noise is needed. I know that in the last few years, we have had an extension built on St. Pascal Baylon, and Avondale was reconstructed. But Avondale already requires portables this year. So how come we're building schools not to projected population growth, but they already get maxed out within a year or two? That is not good planning. So we need better plans when we are expanding schools. The other way that I would like to foster more schools is to build more schools combined with community centers, because we see that schools community space is very important for community gatherings. When I was little, my family and a community group, we rented a gym every Friday, and my parents did ballroom dancing and the kids did Chinese cultural dancing. So every Friday it was a really community building space. And we look at our schools and they're often empty on evenings and weekends. That is precious community space. So if we're able to combine community centers and schools, we will get more space, and we can use our community benefits funding to pitch in towards the construction and hopefully incentivize the province to build a school. And I know that there is a maintenance building on the property of Avondale that previously people had dreamed that it would become a high school. Now at this time, because Avondale is already maxed out, it might need to become a middle school, but we definitely need more school capacity, and if we're able to make that space into a community center / school, I think there would be great benefits. And with regard to what Marcus was mentioning, childcare, community center, I have a hard time seeing these things as just community benefits. So we negotiate them, and really we only have opportunities to get them when there's new development, but not every quadrant of Willowdale has new development happening. So how do we create more daycare spaces, which is to me critical infrastructure to get to support families, to allow women to go back to work without being stressed out. And I think there are some opportunities to partner with faith communities. There are churches sprinkled throughout our neighborhood, and some of them, they need some help with their building. So we could definitely think about new opportunities and partnerships to create daycare spaces and community spaces by partnering with local faith communities.
Thank you, Ms. Chairman.